A strong supporter of Roy Moore, Janet Porter. She's the founder and president of the Ohio-based group Faith to Action, which hosted a news conference by faith leaders in Birmingham, Alabama, that Roy Moore attended. You say you've known Roy Moore for more than 20 years. Tell us about the man you know.
I know the man that is good, who has a character of impeccable values. He is godly, and that's just not something you can fake every single day for 40 years in a row. It just can't be done.
That's not necessarily true. There are a lot of people in history who have claimed to be men of the cloth, faith leaders, and they've turned out to be scam artists. And I'm not saying Roy Moore is, but we can't say that you can't fake it for 20 years because people have.
Well, let's take a look at the evidence. Not only do we have this man of impeccable character for years without a rumor of anything that could possibly be going wrong with his behavior, but
that's not true. There are definitely rumors, and this is a man who was removed from the bench twice, so we can't say impeccable.
Well, he's removed from the bench for standing for the 10 Commandments. I think it'd be a really good thing if those 10 Commandments were still in place, because
he was removed
I don't know that maybe some
bench.
people would see things like "Thou shalt not bear false witness."
He was breaking the law.
Right about
Janet,
now.
he was breaking the law. He was removed from the bench for breaking the law.
He was standing for the law of God, and he was standing for religious liberty. But let's get to the evidence of the case, can we?
We have a separation of church and state.
We have the freedom of religion, not from religion. But let's get to the facts of the case. Not only do I not believe the Washington Post-driven, baseless allegations without evidence on the eve of an election, we have even the own accuser's stepson. Beverly Nelson's own stepson doesn't believe her. But here's more. Not only that, her own attorney doesn't believe her. Gloria Allred, why do you think she won't release the yearbook? Listen to an interview that happened on your network. It was a very good interview on Thursday by Kate Snow. She asked the question no one's asking, and that is, if independent analysis shows that this is not his signature, does that disprove the claims, your client's allegations? Gloria's response was, quote, "No, it doesn't." What that means is that I don't care if my client's lying. I don't care if the evidence is a forgery. That's not going to stand in the way of my campaign against Judge Moore. Because it's not about the facts. It's not about the evidence. It's not about the women. It's about an effort to take down a good man, an elected Democrat in Alabama.
Let's put Beverly Young aside. What about Lee Korfman, who spoke to Savannah Guthrie this morning on the Today Show? She has a story. Do you disbelieve that, too?
Well, if you talk to her mom, as Breitbart did, Nancy Wells said, hey, you know how this whole thing originated? We were convinced to do it by the Washington Post.
No, that's not
a direct quote.
That's not.
Let me read you the direct quote.
I'm
going to give you the direct quote. We wouldn't have direct quote from the mother of Korfman. We wouldn't have done it if the reporters hadn't contacted my daughters. Were you convinced to do it? And the answer was yes.
There's a lot of context you're missing there, Janet.
Lee Korfman's actual words. We have Lee's reasoning why she came forward. Let's listen in.
I think that we're
going to listen in on Lee's words. We don't actually have it in front of us right now. I played it in the last hour. Excuse me. So Lee had said she had dealt with this for years and years. She struggled with it. But she felt empowered after the reporters came and met with her, and she said, I can't keep this a secret anymore. I have to tell my story. So it's not her mother, a third party, Lee herself.
According to her mother, she said it was driven by the Washington Post. But here's the deal. We've got all kinds of baseless accusations. Let's look at the facts. There's one piece of evidence which doesn't prove any guilt, but there's supposedly a signature in a yearbook. What did Gloria Allred do? She says, well, here it is, but I'm not going to show it to you. There's a way to prove what's going on right now and put it all to rest.
What do you
all Gloria had? Let me just issue
Janet, you're having a conversation about Gloria Allred right now. We're actually trying to have a conversation about Roy Moore. I get your point, but we've already said when you talked about Gloria Allred's client, we brought up Lee Korfman, and you're going back to Gloria Allred. So I guess my point is,
well, you've got allegations without proof. Now, if we were going to try people in a court of public opinion in the media, well, then the lacrosse players from Duke would be in jail today. That's not how it works. We are innocent until proven guilty. But what I call, let's solve the whole thing right now. I call on Gloria Allred to release the book, or admit that you're just a shill for the anti-Moore campaign. You know, if you withhold evidence, you should frankly be disbarred. And that's the issue right here. The evidence, the single shred of evidence, is a forgery. And by the way, I've got a hint for next time. If you want to forge something, you want to pretend that this is a signature from Judge Roy Moore from 1977, Don't add on the initials from his assistant in 1999. That's not the way you're going to win a case. No wonder she doesn't want to show the yearbook. Let's look at the facts.
Right,
Let's
Janet,
look at the evidence, and that's what she's refusing to show us.
The impropriety that would have crossed the lines of the law isn't the one having to do with Beverly Young. It's actually the one having to do with Lee Corfman. So I get what you're trying to do here, and it's very savvy. But the fact is, this isn't Gloria Allred on trial or Beverly Young on trial. It's not even Roy Moore on trial. So I guess my question to you is, let's talk about the politics of this for a second. I'd appreciate it if we don't go back to Gloria Allred for a second. What is your reaction to the conversation we just had about the editorial that's in the 3 largest newspapers and AL.com denouncing Roy Moore and telling Alabamians not to vote for him?
Well, this is the thing I know. Not only about Judge Moore, he's not going to be bullied. He's not going to be bought. And the people of Alabama are the same way. They're not going to be fooled by the media. They're not going to be fooled by the baseless, evidence-less allegations. And they're going to come out and they're going to vote for him, I predict, in huge numbers. Why? Because he has a proven track record of being a good, godly, principled man every day in his 40-year public career. And you just can't fake that. Let me ask you something, Allie. If I were to ask you the question, have you stopped beating your wife? What would you say? You'd probably say, I've never beat my wife, right?
I
guess. What if my next question to you was, well, how do you feel about wife beaters? Do you think they should be network news anchors? No, all these other follow-up questions are absolutely false. They're irrelevant because you don't beat your wife.
Right.
And that's the case with Roy Moore.
So I guess, Janet, the question is...
accusations, they're baseless.
Janet, I got it. I appreciate what you're saying. I guess the point is, a lot of the defense that you've posed of Roy Moore, particularly about the fact that he was taken off the bench twice for what a lot of people in the country think was breaking the law as a judge, by the way, and what a lot of his supporters say was standing up for something that was against. It does speak to something about Roy Moore. You and I have different opinions about why Roy Moore was taken from the bench, but you continue to say that his breaking of the law twice and being removed is actually defensible.
I believe that, and the people of Alabama have believed, that the reason Judge Moore, and it's pretty out there, that he said, I want the religious freedom to display the Word of God in the 10 Commandments. Nature and nature's God. Our whole declaration is that we're endowed by our Creator. I mean, you might want to take some white out to the Declaration of Independence, but still there. And so he wants to display what our laws are based on, and I think he's a hero, and the people of Alabama do too. So all the people who are trying to say he's going to lose, I would say, I hope you have a refundable deposit on that firework display, because I believe Judge Roy Moore is going to win because the people of Alabama trust him because he's trustworthy. That's way more trustworthy than the Washington Post and all those attorneys like abortion activist Gloria Allred, who is withholding evidence and should be disbarred unless she hands it over.
To make sure we get that in, separate from the Washington elite, you've got your own Alabama newspapers. Just before we go, because you do know Roy and you've known him for many years, Gadsden Mall. Roy Moore, is he allowed to go to the Gadsden Mall?
Here's the thing you all need to check.
No, ma'am, can you please answer the question?
I'm going to answer the question. The manager of the Gadsden Mall said it's completely false. You know, y'all wonder why people use the terms fake news. The Gadsden Mall, he was never thrown out of it. I mean, we've got to look at the evidence, and that's why we need to not have this media circus to try and condemn an innocent man. We're basically watching a remake of the movie that Gloria Allred had in 2011 against Herman Cain. It's almost the identical script. We've seen it against Clarence Thomas. We've seen it against the lacrosse, Tawana Brawley. I mean, if we want to base who's innocent and who's guilty on who should get an Academy Award, that's not how elections are run. And the good news is the people of Alabama are going to be the ones to decide, not the media circus, not the Washington establishment.
We appreciate you joining us. I just want to make sure I have it when we leave. So you're saying he's never been banned from the Gadsden Mall, and as an adult,
not according to the manager of the Gadsden Mall. He should know.
And as an adult in his 30s, he never dated women who were minors under the age of 18.
He never dated an underage woman, and he never engaged in any sexual misconduct. Period. The end.
Joining me now is former Trump campaign aide Sam Nunberg. Sam, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here. Do you think that Donald Trump should be campaigning on behalf of Roy Moore?
Well, first of all, I just want to note that the Alabama State Republican Party has endorsed Roy Moore.
Yeah.
And the congressman has endorsed Roy Moore. I believe his name is Barden, that lost to Luther Strange.
And Kay Ivey says she's voting for him. But do you think the president, the Republicans nationally, though, have come out against him for the most part? The Republicans locally, besides that, the Young Republicans group that Vaughn was just speaking about, have, at least the officials, have gone on the record supporting him. Do you think the president should side with the Republicans locally in Alabama or the Republicans nationally? Should he be campaigning with Roy Moore?
I think the president should make clear that he needs Roy Moore's vote, and yes, therefore, I think the president should make clear that he endorses Roy Moore, despite these allegations.
So the president should make clear that he endorses a man who has credible allegations, been credibly accused of being a pedophile.
The president should say that he needs this vote. Now, look at those allegations. I'm not defending Roy Moore for that behavior.
Politics is more important than the safety of children.
That's not what I'm saying. If Roy Moore
seems to be what you're saying, Sam.
Well, look, apparently we have a slush fund in the Senate and the House where we're already paying for these politicians to commit sexual harassment.
Do we have a slush fund for politicians to touch children? Because I am not aware of that one.
I don't know what the accusations were that we actually funded.
I haven't heard of a single allegation, and maybe you're right. Maybe there's something out there.
Maybe there is.
Of a congressman touching a child inappropriately, or a senator touching a child inappropriately. There are numerous allegations that fit a pattern of Roy Moore targeting teenage girls, asking their mothers if he can go out with them. A 14-year-old girl saying that he touched her. He touched her, and then he tried to get her to touch him while he was a 30-something-year-old.
Which is absolutely reprehensible. It's inexcusable.
But not so Katie, much to where the president should be campaigning alongside of him.
Katie, I will tell you this: if there were charges filed and he was found guilty and he got this nomination, I would say that he should resign. There weren't. These are accusations that were made from a very, very long time ago. And some of these accusations, I saw your interview with Gloria Allred. They just don't make sense. There is a pattern of a bunch of these allegations being discredited as well.
Where have they been discredited? Where has one of these allegations been discredited?
There was an allegation that he was banned from a mall.
That hasn't been discredited.
Yes, it has been discredited.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it has been discredited.
No, I'm not going to argue with you, Sam. It hasn't been discredited.
The manager says he did not recall.
There was a number of other people in that mall who recall him being. It's a he said, she said from a number of people. There are people in town who talk about this being an open secret. Roy Moore's infatuation, his interest in teenage girls.
Then how is he able?
Hold on. Let me
just ask one quick question. How is he able to serve as a judge all these years?
He was kicked off the bench twice.
He was kicked off the bench, not for this conduct.
No, the women didn't come out. You can't deny there's a zeitgeist right now where women are feeling empowered to come out to say what happened to them many years ago. Do you believe Weinstein's accusers?
Yes.
Do you believe Al Franken's accuser?
I don't know. I don't know the facts of that. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the story today.
So why do you believe Weinstein's accusers and not Roy Moore's accusers?
Well, I don't want to get. Do you want me to get into details of Weinstein's?
Lots of those were from decades earlier.
But they were also more recent, and there was also David Boies was caught, as Ronan Farrow reported, funding a Mossad scheme to attack Rose McGowan. So that's why I believe them.
Donald Trump is at 33% in Gallup. You say he can't go any lower. That if he does go any lower, he's effed. How does campaigning with an accused pedophile help that approval rating? Because
he lost when he campaigned, and this could help rehabilitate him with the base of his party. If Roy Moore gets sworn in, they pass taxes. Now, you said, you're right, by the way, you're 100% right. And I was thinking, when you said we control the House, we control the Senate. The problem is the Senate, as I told you before, is a daycare center where the House's conservative legislation goes to die. Donald Trump has at least 5 senators in there, Republican senators, who will not vote or support legislation that comes out of the House. I know Roy Moore will. And I want to get tax reform.
Does that mean that Murkowski and Collins and McCain and Johnson are suddenly going to start, and Flake potentially are suddenly going to start supporting taxes, or Corker? I mean, that's still just one person. There's been more than one Republican senator who's voted against the president's agenda.
And it's a major problem.
But is that more because the president's agenda is not well thought out and is not moderate in a way that's going to get Democrats on board? I mean, is the solution just to pack it with people, no matter what, who will decide that they'll vote in line with the president, no matter what?
This tax package has had a lot of problems from the very beginning, including the fact that they said they can only add $1.5 trillion to the debt, and they decided that they had to keep the corporate rate at 20%. This tax plan does not help me. I will tell you personally, it's not. I would not vote for the tax plan myself.
So if you were not on the outside, if you were on the inside advising President Trump, would you say to him, hey, how about you find a way to move some of your policies more towards the middle to get the Democrats on board, maybe mend some fences, build bridges there? Or would you say, you know what, to hell with all that, let's go for the support of an accused pedophile, because maybe he will help us get our agenda.
I don't think it's realistic that they're going to be able to get eight Democrats at all to support tax legislation to get it to 60 votes. I think if they get 3 Democrats, which they probably won't anyway, those are only 3 Democrats that are voting for it because they're up for re-election. What I would say about Roy Moore, once again, is I'm not here to defend. It's reprehensible what he did. If he did it to my sister, and it was true, if he did it to my sister, I'd be in jail right now for what my reaction would be. But the fact of the matter is, it's a zero-sum game. If he did
it to your sister, would you support the president campaigning with him?
If he did it to my sister, would I support the president campaigning for them? No, I wouldn't.
So because it's somebody else's sister or daughter, it's okay?
Because it's somebody else's sister or daughter? No, look, have these accusations, once again, if he did it, these are accusations. He has not been charged.
How important
Katie, he has not been.
How important is character for the president?
I don't know. Ask Bill Clinton.
How important is character for Donald Trump?
How important is character for Donald Trump? You'd have to ask Donald Trump that question.
You know Donald Trump.
I think Donald Trump judges people in a way whether or not they will be loyal to the agenda that he's going to pass. So character, for instance, he may not think that it's good character to not vote, to be the final vote, to go like this, like John McCain did against health care. He may not think that that's good character to...
So character is based on what that person can do for Donald Trump?
In a corporate sense, in a professional sense, in the political sense, sure, it is. Yes.
I want to clear the air on one thing, because there's a story out right now which alleges that you made up the Chris Christie fetching hamburgers for Donald Trump story.
First of all, Josh Dawsey called me and said that he had 2 sources that said that I told people that Chris Christie used to fetch hamburgers for Donald Trump. After every campaign event, we used to stop for hamburgers. I said to Josh, I could have very well done it. This was reported. I was not a source of Ryan Liz's, who reported this, and I've made that clear.
So you're not.
So I could have very well.
Not the source for that story.
I am not the source for that story, but I do not like Chris Christie. When Chris Christie joined that campaign, he was doing it to be VP. He had no place to be VP. And oh, by the way, if we want to go back to the campaign, he endorsed him in Texas, and that's when Trump started to lose every single state. And Chris Christie was an extreme liability.
Did you tell anybody that Chris Christie got hamburgers for Donald Trump?
Not a reporter.
Sam Nunberg, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.